answer here, major parts of Lagos is affected by the downpour. From mainland to Lagos Island, nowhere is spared. Iyanoworo inward third mainland bridge is completely taken over by flood.
God damn.
Toluwashe area of Bega, Oroshoki residential area is also submerged. Ikotu Road is not left out. Tricycle operators are trying to make their way through the water. Egbeda Akunwajo Road is overflowing. Some motorists struggle to drive through the flood. Ogba leading to Wemko Road is not so bad, but as a result of the rainfall, traffic is already building in some parts like Agege, Inward Ogba, and it's congested. While residents of the state are appealing to the government to clear the drainage more often to avoid flood disaster, there's also the responsibility of managing waste better.
I mean, it's such a precarious situation there in Lagos and in many parts of the country. Where is the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency? You would think that you'd be hearing more from them. But while we wait on them to speak up on this situation, we have joining us right now via Zoom, Korode Kesha, the Federal Controller Works in Lagos. Madam, it's nice to have you on the program with us this morning.
Good morning, Kayla. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good too.
What's the situation in your neighborhood?
Things are improving. Yesterday there were news that Lagos is kind of submerged. And then we went out on the road immediately to see how we can defloat most of these roads, especially the federal highways in Lagos. And then we discovered that most of the things happening are due to the activities of humans. And there is need for human beings to know how their activities impact negatively this time around on the environment. And that's the result we have everywhere in Lagos and everywhere else.
So when we talk about the activities of humans, I want us to be able to hone in on that. Because it's not just about dumping refuse and blocking drainages, isn't it? It's also an issue of building on floodplains.
It goes beyond that. Let me take, for instance, Iyanoworo, the approach to Third Mainland Bridge. By the time we got there yesterday, we've been understudying that place, trying to know the root cause of that. It wasn't so, you understand, before. But in recent years, we've discovered that it has become an annual occurrence. And when I got there, I tried to study the situation to profile a more lasting solution this time around. And then we discovered that the field that is adjacent to the road, there is a football field that is by the side of the road. That field is way higher than that road level. Are you with me, Kayla?
Yes, I am.
The field is high, but because human beings want to cross from the other side to this side, they decided to cut down that side of the field, and then they tore the barricades so that they can have access into that field. Water used to flow to the other side before, that mega seaside. There's a big outfall around that Bariga side, over there. But because of what human being has done, the activity of humans, the water decided now to be coming down to the main carriageway. Because they now made that place the lowest level, because people dug it so that they can use it as an access into the field. And when water is coming, it's not coming alone. It's bringing all the mud, the sand, everything with it, thereby clogging all the weebles and the access to the channels that is meant or that are meant to discharge this water to the final outfall. That's what happened. And immediately our team of our rescue team moved into action. We started unclogging those weebles by removing all the sands, the dirt, and the garbage that we found there. The water went down immediately and the road became free.
Let's talk a bit about preventive efforts. Because I know a lot of work has been happening since yesterday with all of the headlines and with everything everyone has been going through in Lagos. But what are some of the preventive measures put in place to ensure this doesn't happen in the first place?
That preventive measure starts with you and it starts with me. I tell people, government does not live in a neighborhood. For instance, where I live, the federal government, so to say, the Aso Rock is not here. President Tinubu is not here. My honorable minister is not here. Our leaders are not here. But I live in this environment, and it's my primary duty or responsibility to make it tidy. Before government comes to the rescue, the people will have suffered. So, way forward is self-discipline, self-advocacy. Let's all be self-disciplined, knowing fully well that our activities or inactivities negatively impact on us as an individual, as a society, and as a nation. The other day you saw how somebody brought in garbage from the room, from their house, and then pour it inside the flowing water because they felt the rain is falling. This rain will take it away. It's definitely taking it away to somewhere that is going to go and block the path of the water. And that water is going to recede back and come and stare us in the face.
Well,
several times people have had to run after people on the road. When people drink Coke, when they eat pop-off, when they eat gala, they just throw it on the road. I ran after somebody the other time and he said, "Madam, get away. What is the duty of lawman when they sweep it away?"
Well, madam,
so that advocacy starts with you, it starts with me and the self-discipline.
Well,
most of these drainages, what is happening is that they are blocked.
Well,
they are blocked.
Well, all of that is understood, madam, and there is no doubt, that, the people have their own responsibilities. But just a quick one, it's not only in Oworo that the flood took over, as you are very well aware. For the rains also dealt with places like Berja, Ikeja, Ogba, and some other parts of the city, Agege, Yano, Oworo, just as you have mentioned, Ijegun, Isheri. Any idea what could have been responsible for the flooding in these areas? Some of them, as you said, rightly so, they didn't have a history of such a level of flooding. And now this.
I've told them, number one, Lagos is not far from the sea. We all know that. It therefore means that Lagos needs to do more as citizens. As government is trying. Lagos state government, they are trying. Federal government is doing all that we can. We awarded the silting of most of the roads, federal roads in Lagos, the silting of the drains along the roads. What else can the government do? Government is awarding roads. We're paying contractors. Our drains are being awarded for the silting, and we're doing that. If you go right away now, you will see what we are bringing out from Awolowo Road, from Falomo, from Osborne. It's massive, it's huge. How does those things, how did they get there? Those are not refuse dumps. How did they get there? We have enough provision for drainages. We have enough provisions for culverts. At Yano, it may interest you. There are about 5 culverts there. But if you see what we're bringing out from there, yesterday, it is not, that's not government doing that. It's you and I. It's until we get to that self-realization that our activity impacts on us. Our activities impact negatively on the society. Somebody that carelessly threw gala nylon on the road does not know that it's not only going to be the only one that will reap the negative effects of that. So if we know that this thing is going to come back and stare us in the face, then let's do something about it.
Is it the same thing in Ogun State, madam? Is it the same thing? Is it the same story in Ogun State? Because we understand that Atota, Sheshe, Ifo, Sangota, and Ijebode areas in Ogun State were also submerged.
I can only speak for Lagos.
Okay.
That's what I see, I'm telling you.
Okay.
So the person will have to talk about it.
All right, I just wanted to, I mean, so it's some Lagosians don't begin to feel that,
I'm sure
criminalized.
humans were generally the same. Our attitudes are the same.
Perhaps the challenge here, madam, my apologies. Perhaps the challenge here, going by what the question Kayla asked, one of the preventive measures a number of people would have asked, maybe if there was an effective local government administration in place, some preemptive actions may have been taken. The local governments are closer to the people, to the localities, and they could have been able to, see some of these things ahead and jump ahead of them. Do you think that could have been an effective mitigation strategy?
You're very correct. You're not far from the truth. And local governments need to do more. And I'm sure that they are seeing the need to do more now. But generally, majority of the blame is with the people, please. I live by the canal. And if you see what is being discharged into the canal, when I look through my window on a daily basis, it gives me cause for concern. It's not the local government that pour it there. It's the people. It's the people.
Well, there are sometimes, madam, my apologies, sometimes the government does the needful, distills, take the garbage away from the roads, and they leave them by the road. Well, we've heard that sometimes they leave it there because they want the garbage to drain. But then before the road, the refuse or all of the things that they moved were done draining out, another rain comes and wash it back into the same drainage. So
it doesn't happen again. That used to be in time past.
Okay.
Now we're monitoring one another. If I'm driving and I see something, I know the agency to call. I call them the next day, they've evacuated it. Like the ones we are parking on Osborne Road, because it is raining, we're parking it out, and we discovered that it was going back inside. We were cutting them away, wet like that. We were taking them away, as wet as they were.
It's pretty frustrating, I must admit, and listening to you talk about this and checking people and making people do the right thing and changing cultures and behaviors of people can be very difficult, but it must be done. In many parts of the world, the idea that you throw refuse on the street it sounds like madness. I think you might even get arrested for doing something like that in some parts of the world because of the idea that you would put other people in danger, no regard for your environment. But that changing of people's mindsets, I'm going to ask you, what other ways, apart from chasing people, because you will chase people till you are tired, what other ways, are there other creative ways that we can get people to change their attitudes when it comes to refuse disposal?
We're in talks, just like you said now, we're in talks with National Orientation Agency so that they can increase this awareness. Let there be more advocacy on the radios, in the televisions. Let there be more advocacy to let people know that their action has repercussions. And the repercussion can be devastating most times, just like we have it. I was at Lekki yesterday. I went on site visit to Lagos Coastal Road. Everywhere was flooded. Most property owners were not able to come out. The cars were submerged. And that's what I tell people. It's not government. We will have been affected before government will come to our rescue. So let's just do what we need to do. Let's that self-discipline, self-awareness, self-advocacy, that this our action is going to negatively affect us as humans, as families, as individuals, as a society.
I mean, sometimes when changing attitudes and trying to get people to do the right thing, when that doesn't work, I'm not a big fan of penalties, but you may have to resort to penalties. Are there penalties in place?
But let there be more, like the people that emptied their garbage into the flood. I want to believe they do not know the implication. So let there be more advocacy first.
What are the implications? What's the punishment for it? What's the penalty for it? Can you hear me?
I'm not in a situation to say that. I'm not in a situation to say that. I'm an engineer. Don't forget, we just want to build infrastructure.
So let's talk a bit about that infrastructure, since you can't tell us about the penalties, madam. What the infrastructure issues, because people, of course, have that responsibility, and you've talked about, that's what we've been talking about. But are there infrastructure issues that cause the flood? Because like in Abuja, for instance, we've had situations where we've had to demolish so many structures that are on waterways, despite whose ox is God. Is that something that's going on in Lagos as well?
I'm sure you heard in the news, Lagos state government is doing a lot on that. A lot, and I give kudos to them on that. So many buildings were demolished at Maryland, so many buildings were demolished at Lekki for standing in the way of water. So they're doing what they should do in that aspect, and we give kudos to them. They're complementing what the federal government is doing everywhere. If you build on water pan channels, if you build on water pans, you don't have a right to live there. That's what it means, because water is going to find its level, and in finding its level, is going to affect the society and then the country at large. So we cannot allow the insensitivity of a few of us to now affect others that are sensitive to their responsibilities.
Okay, madam, lastly, for me, I mean, talking about, engineering and all, there are those who would say that there is a significant contribution of the slow pace of construction of roadblocks due to construction, ongoing construction in different parts of Lagos to this situation. How do you respond? I
didn't get that, please.
Construction.
Can you please come again?
Is it possible that construction, road construction, which of course naturally leads to blocking of some parts of the road, could also have contributed either minutely or significantly to the situation?
I don't think so. For instance, in all the places you mentioned in Lagos, where is any road construction contributing to that? We're doing Lagos Coastal, is not contributing to that. We're working everywhere. I don't think so. We're not insensitive. There's no construction work that should lead to that. Adequate preparation, you understand, will have been given to that. That's why we do planning before we go to the road. So no road construction can impact on water channels. It's not possible.
All right, well, that would be a good place to end it. And I wish you all the best. I know it's going to be a lot of work ahead, but good luck with all of that. And we wish you all the best in all that you do.
And I wish you quite the same. Thank you for having me, Kayla. It's nice to be with you.
Madam Kesha there, the Federal Controller works in Lagos, giving us an update on what's going on with the flood situation there. Everyone, please be safe and be a little bit more careful. We'll be right back after this. We'll be talking about local government autonomy. Stay with us.